There you go. Yeah, we got the hot rod out of the trailer. Working on the seat a little bit. Yeah, you see I got the rubber gloves on, so I'm about ready to make a mess. So I just wanted to show you what I've been working on and off for the past 3 days with this trailer. Is this 110 to 12 volt converter, right, with battery charger. I got this out of my old 1980 GMC van slash RV, and all of it. I mean, the 110 breakers, everything came out except, well, obviously except the battery. But as you can see, there's 4 12 volt circuits. This circuit is a filtered circuit, so I got the radio. The green wire is a radio. So when you got lights, or the fridge is running, or you turn on a water pump to flush the toilet in your RV or take a shower, that you don't get lines across your screen or bzzz noise in your audio and your radio. So it's a filtered 12 volt circuit. It's fused over to the positive and negative of the battery charger. Well, I was told by an auto electric guy a long time ago that the battery charger in this thing is screwed up, and me being a hardhead, it had been years and years since I've used any of this stuff. I decided recently to try to work this out to find out what's going on. Because when we plug in the big heavy cord, I used to have a battery charger like this one here, but a bigger one, a big automotive battery charger with a 60, a 10, and a 2 amp setting on it, right? And it's got the overcharge protection, right? I used to just have that in here, no wires connected to any of this at all, any of the 12 volt that's being converted, and we only used the 110 circuit to run the AC and the electric outlet I have on my bench. So this thing, the whole time, all these years, this thing's been buzzing away, running up Richard's electric, running up my electric, running up everybody's electric where we've had this thing plugged in, and we weren't using it. So I put the meter on it, right, the 12 volt meter, and checked it, and these all have 13.5 volts, right? So they're all putting out good voltage. This one, when you is at about 11.5 volts, which is also the battery charger, but when you turn the radio on, it shoots up to like 14.7. And so did the battery charger, until you hook the battery up to it. This is the positive from the battery. This is the negative from the big ground lug, also connected to the battery with this blue wire. And what I did last night was what I originally wanted to do on day 1. This is day 3 of working on this thing. What I wanted to do was wire from each of these circuits up to 3 switches on my bench, and I could turn the refrigerator from converted 110 to 12 volts, flip a switch and shut it off so the fridge wouldn't work at all, and then the other side was be a double pull, double throw. Other side would be just to my battery. So I could run the fridge just on the battery or just on the 12 volt converter. So figured when we're plugged in, we wouldn't be sucking down the battery for nothing instead of running on a battery charger. And then I put an outlet in here on a 3rd circuit for a small battery charger, and that would charge the battery that we weren't using while we're plugged in, say at the racetrack, with the fridge running and stuff, which would all run off of this after it's plugged in, right? And I could charge the battery at a slow rate all weekend long and just use the battery to get me to the track and back home from the track, right? Well, it didn't work that way. What I've come to find out is the orange wire here, this is the refrigerator. It's running directly from the battery. I had it on here, and when I turned the fridge on, the compressor just made a lot of noise. Brrr, it sounded like something was the fan, the cooling fan was clipping something more, but it was actually, the compressor is like a tin can, right? And it's got a little motor inside it, and it was knocking away. And then, you know, it ran and ran and ran and ran, but it never got cold. The freezer portion of the fridge, it never got cold. So what I did is I disconnected it here, plugged it in, just held it onto the battery, and bzzz, run nice and quiet. The little freezer part instantly started getting frosty ice cold. So what I did is I left the battery connected directly to the fridge, with the fridge on full blast, as cold as it'll go, and then left the positive wire of the battery connected to the charger that puts out 11.5 volts, and thought once it's just like a standard battery charger, If you put a voltmeter on the clips of a battery charger without it being connected to a battery, you get zero. You get nothing. So I thought once it was attached, maybe it will continue to charge the battery. So left it on overnight. When I left here, the battery alone had 8.6 volts in it. When I got back today, probably 18, 20 hours later, right, it only had 12 volts. So either what we come to find out is the battery charger itself on this unit isn't charging at a fast enough rate, and that's what the electric guy that I took it to a long time ago when it was still in my RV told me, that the charger was botched. The charger portion of that didn't work. Why hooking it up to a 13.5 12 volt circuit that works just fine, runs lights and radio just fine, wouldn't run the fridge? That's what really doesn't make much sense to me. But when I hooked it up to the battery, it was obvious, like I said, it was 12.8. Right now, when I got here a little while ago, it was still at 12 volts. Fridge still running fine, nice and cold. Put bottles of water in there yesterday to help the fridge, cool something and continue to work. So what we realized is this couldn't keep up. So now what I did is I plugged my C-Tech fancy auto charger on, right? Auto leveling charger. It'll turn on and off like a you know what I mean. Dang it, I'm losing the words. Like a battery tender. The Snowflake is the highest rating. These two are the motorcycle and car are actually the same. They're all 12 volt, but this one puts out a little bit more poop. I'm not sure about the amps. It says 2 amps and 3.3 amps. So these two would be 2 amps and this would be 3.3. Well, we know on the big charger that used to be in here, on a 2 amp setting, it couldn't keep up with the refrigerator. The refrigerator used more, emptied the battery quicker than 2 amps could refill it. So we put it on the 10 amp setting, and we come back in a couple hours later, and like I said, the fridge is running on and off. It cycles on and off, but it's turned all the way up when we use it to make sure everything stays cold. And on the 10 amp setting, the battery would actually get to a full charge. The green light would come on, and it would literally, click on and off. The charger would. So we know 10 amp was obviously more than enough, but we're trying to find out whether that was, overdone. If this little 3.3 amp or whatever this is going to keep the battery at a level where the fridge will continue to run without draining the battery down so far that the fridge shuts off, then we're in. If not, I'm going to have to shop for another charger. So what we did is we just basically cap off the positive from the battery. Now I could remove that and all that, but I'm not going to bother. It's been like this, all the positives from the radio, the lights on the 12 volt light on the bench, the refrigerator, the orange from the fridge, they were all jammed into this thing and screwed down together. We used the screws right out of those lugs. Got another one here for all the negatives. We connected all the negatives together, the white one, and all the ground circuits, of course, from everything. And for years and years, this thing's worked just fine. It's just trying to get the charger I had in here belongs to Richard, and I wanted to get it back to him. Tried finding another one just like it. They don't make that one anymore. Mine, why didn't I use my own? I had my own, and it was just like his. It was an X-Side brand charger, 3-rate charger, 210 and 60 amp start right now. When we went to Daytona last year, I plugged it in, and I put the positive on the negative and the negative on the positive and smoked the battery charger as soon as we got there. So live and learn. You really can't buy that one anymore either, but the ones you can buy like that are pretty pricey, more than I want to spend. So we're trying to find something that'll work. We know 2 amps is not enough. Maybe this 3.3 or 3.5, maybe that'll be enough. We'll just have to see. As long as we're not using any other battery-powered 12-volt item, we should be okay. If this, fridge is going to run for days and days and days, we'll make sure this thing either keeps the battery charged at a rate high enough that the fridge can't run it down, or it's going to either work or it's going to fail, right? So that's the test we're doing now. The first test we did last night, we know was not going to work. Probably another 6-8 hours and the fridge would have shut off. Maybe 6 hours. So as we put this on, it was at 11.9, 1199, somewhere in there, 12, right around 12 volts. And within 15 minutes, it went up almost 0.2 of a volt, just in a few minutes. So we'll have to see. If it stays ahead of the fridge, then we're good to go. We'll use the screw holes and we'll mount that sucker right in here, and use our outlet, and we'll be good to go. If not, well, we don't want to talk about if not. I got to get to working on this go-kart, and that's why I'm bringing you in here. We got it out. Rich helped me get it out. We already know that from the nut bar to the clutch perch, the handle is not, there's not enough room to get this seat in there. So we're going to have to cut this off. We're going to have to cut it off here, right here, and then just move it over, as far as we can, and still get our hand in here, and then weld it back on. Piece of cake, no big deal. That Nerf bar will come around. We roll it. It's on wheels. We'll roll it right over to my house and get that done. What I'm doing here is going to be pretty trick. I mean, we're going to have foam in here, right? We got the 1/2-inch Amazon foam, right? I had that whole roll. We have a place here in town called Foam Factory. They have every kind of density, sealed foam, unsealed foam. What I mean is cells, sealed cell, unsealed cells, everything you could possibly imagine. And this seat is so big on me as it is. It's actually a little too big. It's going to allow me to put padding almost everywhere inside there and just make it really sweet to get in. And so what I'm going to do is, once we get the seat mounted, it isn't going to be like the other seat where we're pulling pins and pulling the seat in and out of the go-kart all the time. I'm going to make, this is going to be actually a trap door where that line is. I'm going to cut this off. And what we're doing is we're going to lay glass on here, and yes, I did. I waxed this masking tape. We're going to lay this glass, a big strip of glass all the way around here 2 times. We'll peel it off. We'll peel all the tape off. We'll go ahead and cut this door out, right? It'll come out. And then we'll take the catalyzed hardened piece, and we'll, from that line onto the seat, we'll glue it back on and probably just put a layer of glass over it just to make sure it's on. And it'll give us a return flange in here. That's right. You smell what Big Daddy's cooking. I can put a couple of rib nuts in here, little like 1032 rib nuts in here. A couple tiny little Allen head or button head Allens just to hold that on. We'll put some holes in our foam, right? So we won't feel the heads of the bolts or anything. It'll be down below. And it'll be a nice little removable access panel to be able to get to our battery pack that runs our water pump and runs our runs everything else that we're using here. Well, basically, I think power shifter and water pump here. This is our Micron. We got to be able to get in here to change 9 volts and swap this battery out, or at least to be able to charge it. And with the legs of the seat here, we wouldn't be able to do that. So this little access panel is going to make us trick, man. And that's what we do at RPM. We do it and we make it trick because we can. So there you go. I'm going to lay this up. We'll pull it off tomorrow. We're going to get this seat in this thing before the weekend. We got custom bent parts coming from our buddy Ed McClone down in Georgia. Hey, Ed, how's it going, buddy? Thanks for rocking that stuff out for me so quickly. Really huge, really huge. Ed's the man. If you've seen any of the old videos where he bent bumpers and Nerfs, and even on the Yamaha dog, just beautiful stuff. So looking forward to getting that stuff back and getting permanent good stuff going on the old secret project over there. Mocked up some stuff, made templates, folded the templates, put them in an envelope, mailed them to Ed. Ed laid the thing out and bent this stuff up. I talked to him today. So excited about showing you guys some of that stuff when the kart's all done. But until then, hang in there. It'll get better. Gonna get messy here in a minute, though. Godspeed, y'all.